Greetings everyone and welcome back to Birthdays the Beginning, where we have just celebrated a new birthday. Well, it's not a new birthday, it is a birthday. Now, in the last episode, we started things out. Now, just to clarify a few things, as some people are a little bit confused, my intention is not just to limit myself to the small amount of land that you see before you, but instead to gradually rise the land over time. In the beginning, we wanted to start out with just water wherever we could to encourage all of the water life forms to propagate, and then as time moves on, we'll start to shape more and more of the shore around, and as if the land was rising up out of the oceans as it did in the real world. Now, another tip I received in the comments was to focus on these items. They generally apparently come around about the same sort of time. Now, you need a much hotter area. You need the sea as well. I mean, Paikia needs the sea too. Sure, okay, we can make it that hot. I'm fairly certain that we can, at any rate. Have we got these? Yes, we've already got those as well. We've got those too. We need shallows of a moderate temperature around here. Star-shaped echinoderm that dwells in the shallow areas among Calunia. A carnivorous creature, it mainly subsists on Dinorthis. Dinorthis. I don't believe... Oh no, there we are, Dinorthis. So we're probably just going to need a lot of those for that one. This one requires the sea. Starts to get a little colder around here. Starts to get much colder for these creatures. But okay, let's see if we can't get... well, actually, strictly speaking, we don't need that creature around since we've already seen it before. I mean, it would be nice, certainly, but it's not strictly necessary. Nevertheless, I wouldn't mind getting a really hot sea, because once we've got it, it can survive for quite some time. So let's see what we can do toward that end. Now, where is my stone at the moment? We've got one of the chill stones or the heat stones in the world right now, and what we need to do is get it down around here where it's technically the sea. Probably around here somewhere, just to make sure that we get the Velko Paikia to be born. And before we do that, of course, we're going to have to pick up some things. Now, I'm not sure how much building I'm going to be doing in any particular episode, though I always kind of plan for a little bit of sculpting somewhere or other. I will probably start looking at raising up a much higher landmass, probably with a slope that leads up to it, but a much larger flat landmass. And I might even come out over the ocean and create a bit of a cliff. Let's go ahead and drop the warm stone around here. It's currently... Well, actually, no, it's already 45 degrees. How much did the Velko Paikia need? Was it particularly hot? Ah, yes, it was. It was particularly hot. Okay, well, given that then, we should be able to drop down one of these and see how that works. Womp. Now that should give us what we need to get their population on the go. Over here, as you can see, we've got quite a lot of plants starting to pop up, but no land creatures yet, just plants at the present time. And that's perfectly fine for the time being, I feel. Okay, well with that, let's hop out and let's actually let maybe 100,000 years pass or thereabouts. We'll use the fast speed for this one. Oh, that's a shame. You're already dead. Well, you know, it's going to happen. Autumn Fern is probably going to be going out as well fairly soon. Okay, the Velko Paikia has not shown up, and I would like to start moving along with a couple of other things. So let's have a look at what's next on our library. You're going to need 36 to 42 degree shallows, so we're actually going to need it. Oh, you need it to be sea as well. You need it to be a sea area, which is fairly cold. So that's going to be tricky, but not impossible for us to set up. The temperature in the shallows shouldn't be too hard to achieve. I mean, we could use a cold stone for that. The sea is going to be a lot harder, but perhaps... Yeah, you know what? We could look at setting up our idea for a little bit of a cliff area with a wide kind of space over here. So let's have a think. How tall do I want this to be? Maybe 3 or so higher than here. So let's just drop down the anchor point for that design. And we'll just position it over here. And 1, 2, 3. Let's go 4. we'll have it be 4 tall. I'm going to shape out a little bit of a ramp and also shape out more or less how wide and large this area should be on the whole, but we're going to have this going out into the water for a little ways, and that should make for a nice little area. We'll probably have some more steeper edges to this area because it is meant to be a bit more of a cliffy zone, so I'll bring you back when I'm done with that. See you soon. Okay, there we go. Unfortunately, there's quite a lot of creatures that have ended up on up here when I don't really think they wanted to be. If I'm perfectly honest, I think they probably didn't want to be up here, but they are, so they're just going to have to deal with it. However, one last thing we want a bit of a lake up here. Now, I don't want to make it too gigantic, otherwise it'll undo the whole point of having this flat area, but maybe something around here perhaps, and then we'll just make it a little bit wider, a little bit bigger in a couple of dimensions. We are going to want it to be a fair size over here, so let's do this, then we'll shrink it back a little bit on this side, and that should help us keep the moisture up here, because we do want it to be a nice moist area. We want plenty of plants to grow, and we don't want this whole area to just dry out now that we've risen it out of the water. And that would kind of undo a lot of the good that we've done by putting this here. Let's make this little corner a little bit smaller though. Something just about like that should do, I think. There we go. And there we are. So that's our little area. Now all of this is green, sort of like, I guess it's an approximation of seaweed and other lichens and stuff like that, and things that might be growing in the extremely moist shallows. But slowly this area will be replaced by grass from just from the land. So hopefully we'll see a couple of those things popping up. Now, with such a big change, we're going to have dropped the temperature a fair whack. It's still not going to be low enough to propagate some of the creatures, but I want to give a little bit of time and see how that area develops, and see if we need to continue to drop, or whether we can perhaps encourage some things to develop just by dropping down a few temperature zones. As you can see. Oh no, that area is actually getting quite moist. Ooh, a little desert is forming. I wasn't expecting that. That's fantastic. Where all of that greenery was, and it's no longer moist enough to keep the desert there. Oh, that's fantastic. I do kind of want the greenery to continue to grow though. Like this area was a little bit further out, and so hasn't actually developed the moisture in the same way, I may have to use a cloud or two just around here just to encourage it. So let's pop this down there. Now it is going to get rid of part of the desert for now, but in time that'll eventually dry out again. It'll just be until the effect wears off, and then that area will be nice and moist, and then we'll turn it into a desert. Oh, that's fantastic. I'm pretty happy with that. It wasn't something I was expecting. We're even seeing that over on this side as well, because it used to have moisture, but then it was removed from where the coast existed. Okay, well, we've got a new creature in here as well. Let's just go and check. There we go. So it's got a bit of a population. Now, this one would need a very cold area of the sea. It's not something that we're going to be able to do in the meanwhile. This one wants sea, river, so we're probably going to be wanting to look at dropping the temperature a little bit. Let's actually have a look at this. Seaweed that lives in hot shallows. It resembles Cytophyton. It first appeared following the disappearance of Dimetrodon. Ooh. That's a little ways away then. We're not going to see that for quite some time. Dimetrodon needs to have shown up first. Not going to be easy, that one. But the temperature in the land has dropped as required. We could add some more land as well to encourage the temperature to rise a little bit more. And I'm actually interested in seeing that potential outcome. So sure, I don't think we're going to be stealing any more land from the ocean though I may adjust the shallows just a little bit to make it look a little bit more organic around that cliff there. So rather than just dropping off the way it is, we'll shape the shallows and rise these shallows just a little bit, going out in this direction as the lands are slightly increasing. And then I'm thinking perhaps we'll rise the lands by one level towards the back up here, just all around and over there. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. It's going to be fairly boring building work though, so I'm not going to force you to join me for it. I will bring you back when I'm done. Okay, there we go. I've risen the, dropped the temperature by a very small amount at the end of the day. I've risen the shallows a little bit around our new outcropping of land, and I've also added a little lake at the back there as well. And gradually over time we're going to continue to evolve the shape of this world. But for now, I need to recover my energy. Then we're going to pass a lot of time, maybe up until 2 million cube years, and see if anything develops. I'm hopeful that something will, as the temperature has changed a little bit, not too much, but also we've got desert now, which I'm pretty proud of. Okay, there we go. Cube year, 2 million. And we've got a fairly healthy population of Andriolepsis in the cube at the moment. So that will hopefully stand a good chance of providing food to a future creature. What do we need there? Small fish that migrated from brackish waters to freshwater as the number of rivers on land began to increase. It will emerge when more mid-elevation rivers appear. Okay, so mid-elevation rivers also need a much cooler climate overall. Now, we are going to need the Dimetrodon to have been around and die. Cool temperature shallows. Yo, wow, -5 to 5. We're going to need an ice age for you, I'm afraid. What about you? We haven't got any of you around, and you're going to need a very cold climate for that to happen. It looks like a lot of the creatures that we need are going to require the land to have cooled quite a lot, or at least by about 10 degrees, which I suppose is quite a lot when you think about it. Dimetrodon, where are you? That was Dimetrodon down there. Yeah, we're going to have to cool this world down a lot before we can get a lot of these creatures to spawn. So I think it's about time for a chilly period in this cube's life cycle. Now, do we have any global cooling? Let's quickly have a look there. We've got one, not quite what we need, but okay, let's pop that out. So there we go. That will, oh wow, that actually had quite an impact. Down by 3 degrees. I approve of this. I approve enormously, in fact. Let's continue to spread our deserts, though, as well. So we're going to use big old ring cloud around about here. We are going to have some rain over there. And finally, all the way down here, we're going to have another rain cloud. Just to try and get this desert to spread out a little bit. I'm really super happy that we've got these deserts growing. That is fantastic in my opinion. It'll take a little bit more time for it to properly grow. But you'll notice that this is mostly grass now. We've lost the kind of watery mosses and lichens and that kind of thing. And we're now moving towards grass up here, which is fantastic. Though we haven't seen a whole lot of stuff move up here just yet. Let's go ahead and use vigorous vegetation. Let's try and kickstart that a little bit if we can. And furthermore, let's maybe over here in the river delta, let's pop down a chillstone. I think maybe trying to encourage some more life forms over here would be a not bad idea. Let's pop that down right about there, and that should help out because it'll cover a bit of land, a bit of water, and some rivers as well, which will be pretty nice, I think. But we are going to have to quite drastically adjust this land. I'm thinking we're going to need a lot more height to it if we don't have those global coolings. Additionally, we do still need to sink part of the sea into deep sea. Because right now we've just got this tiny little bit of sea over here. And I'm thinking maybe with the shape that the land is taking, I might pull the shallows so they're more of a curve from about this point. And then they curve up and around rather than the flat tiers that I've got that are just cutting the cube horizontally. We'll have more of a diagonal tier system, and then in this corner we'll continue to sink it down, and it'll start to become very, very steep. So it'll go from this shallow decline in the shallows to sea to a little less of a shallow decline, but still more or less a shallow angle down from the shallows into sea, and then from sea it'll become a very, very steep descent into a depth of deep sea where we can get a couple of things living down there. I think that'll be a pretty good plan, actually. Right, let's pop out and let a little bit more time pass because we have just dropped the temperature quite a lot, so hopefully, oh, there we go. Plenty of new things popping up there. Heliophilium. Let's actually check you out, shall we? Heliophilium, where are you? You're probably one of these. No, you're not Baraguanathea. Where are you? None of these. Okay, I'm gonna say that I feel that whoever told me that I should be focusing on them in numbered order, you weren't quite right there. It's one of the first corals. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, so we're going to be going back to what I was doing previously, and that is using the tree primarily, but this is actually looking good. We've got a lot of new creatures, and generally populations are trending upwards rather than down. I mean, there's some exceptions, and things are always going to fluctuate here and there, especially as new creatures develop, which are going to live off the sources of food that we've already got in the cube. This is actually going quite nice. The populations are going mad, which I'm very, very happy with. In fact, let's go and check on the cube's status right now. In terms of population, yeah, population has grown very, very substantially. It's not quite at our record high just yet, but it's sort of in that sort of fluctuation range. 0.3% of CO2 in the atmosphere. Species types, we're up to 33 different species types, and a lot of those have just popped up in the last few moments. The temperature is cooling very, very quickly. Air temperature is 36.9. The record high is 48. The water temperature is towards 38.4. Moisture is at the highest, well, almost the highest it's ever been. In terms of our land, 19% of the cube is rock, 1.2 is sand, 2.4 is earth, 4.2 is moss, and 8 is grass. I'm actually pretty happy with that. I'm very happy that 8% of the land that we've got is grass. Okay, well, the maximum height is 7, which I don't even think is upperlands. I think that's still classed as lowlands, so let's actually hop in and go to the highest point on our map and see if that's uplands. We are definitely going to want a large plain of uplands at some point. No, it's still lowlands, or maybe this is uplands. Is 7 uplands? No, it's still lowlands. So what we're probably going to do over time is rise this whole area up even further and keep stepping it up until like the baseline is about as high as this, and a couple of peaks on it, and maybe in the upland range. We may also do that way back over here, where we've got this lake at the moment. We may use the rear of the cube to rise up some nice large mountainous plateaus and that sort of thing. Right, okay, well, at the present rate of map expansion, I'm fairly happy to call it there for this episode. We have added a new, fairly substantial landmass. It's taller than it is wide, but there's still quite a lot of land there above sea level. We've also got our first 2 deserts showing up, which I'm super, super excited about. We've got a lot of new plant life. Still not much in the way of animals, but our aquatic life forms, they're doing very, very well, although it doesn't show it there. Let's see if I can get it to show their population with an update here. We might be able to see that. Generally, their populations are doing okay, but our fish population is actually quite nice. In fact, it's probably going to be easier if I just jump down and have a look down here. Let's find a place where there are some fish. There should be plenty of you. Make yourselves known to me. Or are you all alive over here? I mean, the coral... Ah, there we are. I see you. Tell me how many of you. There's 16 million of you. That's fantastic. I approve. I approve greatly at this. Ooh, we've got the fungi. Oh, that's awesome. I'm quite glad about that, actually. I was wondering when they would show up. So we've got lots of trees along this sort of edge here. That's quite nice as well. Of course, we're not going to have very much in the rocky areas, and it's going to take me some time to encourage life forms to grow there. Though I can transplant life forms. Really? I thought these things needed crazy amounts of moisture. Crazy amounts of moisture. So why are they in the desert? That makes no sense to me. No sense, even slightly. But okay, we may start transplanting some organisms across here because this is kind of like a little green island. Nothing is propagating over here because there's nothing that can get over here except these little flowers down there. So perhaps in the next episode, I'll use the jars a little bit to move around populations of plants, just to encourage some diversity and also encourage things that could perhaps develop over there. Whereas we might have certain animals developing over here. I wouldn't mind a couple that just live in that lake, and maybe that's the only spot for them. Maybe that's a limited population. It would be kind of nice to have these populations segregated in some ways. So making sure that there's things for them to eat would be a plan. But that is going to be it from me. I do hope you're enjoying the series so far, and I look forward to any feedback you have in the comments down below. And as ever, do remember to leave a like if you liked, sub if you haven't, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.